Okay, this tutorial is going to review what you need to do to prepare for an assessment that you've just been notified, which covers the material that you've recently completed in class. Now, if we have a think about the content, the potential content of this assessment, it includes the assignments 1, 2, and 3. So that is questionnaire design, pedestrian traffic surveys, and a possible soil analysis. So the first thing you have to do is review the material and what you wrote for these 3 particular assignments. Now, if you're looking to go beyond these, which I would strongly recommend, you will also potentially want to use the student workbook. So we have a quick little look at what the student workbook involves. The material or the content areas that you have covered are these ones here. You'll be able to see them on the physical and the human topics. But more importantly, if we have a look at the actual techniques that you have so far covered, you have thought about scatter graphs, polar and circular graphs, also known as radial graphs. You have dealt with kite graphs in the context of your sand dune investigation. Dispersion graphs will have also been explored. You'll have also introduced to thinking about the range and the possible use of an interquartile range, and that will have been within the context of the dispersion graph and the box whisker plot. Finally, you need to be aware of the knowledge that surrounds the chi-square test and the Pearson's test. That will allow you to scroll further down into this document to explore much more detailed notes on any particular theme that you might be interested in. For example, if you are thinking about pedestrian and traffic surveys, here you'll find a lot of material that underpins that. Okay, so that is one place you can have a look. Second thing I would suggest you look is at the student checklist, which is here in Google Classroom. And that will allow you to think about the fact that you've been taught a soil analysis, that you have done traffic and pedestrian surveys, and that you have done questionnaires and interviews. You have also actually done quite a bit of work on what's called a beach profile analysis as part of your sand dunes investigation. In terms of techniques, kite graphs have been explored, scatter graphs, polar graphs, dispersion graphs, and in terms of mapping techniques, we have explored none of these explicitly, although you have been working with proportional symbols during your field trip, but that won't be explicitly explored in the assessment. You are now aware of mean and median and what those particular data points are, and the range of a data set. And from a statistical test point of view, you need to be aware of these 2 particular tests. Where else can you go to help yourself prepare? I would suggest you have a look at the C of E Advanced Higher Geography Study Guide, which your teacher will provide with you, and pick out the relevant pages of that book from the contents page on page 3 that might help you give you more detail. So for example, if you're thinking about doing a dispersion graph to present your data, you could find material on that in here, likewise kite diagrams, and so on and so forth. Okay, right, what I suggest you do, because you'll be answering advanced higher questions, is you do make sure you review your notes and that you can write in detail about any possible data gathering technique, how you would acquire data, how you'd present it using graphical techniques, and sampling strategies that you might need to use to gather data, as well as justification for that. And finally, the strengths and weaknesses of statistical tests, as well as knowing what results mean when you get them for a statistical test.